Hey, welcome back to the channel again. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to fix insulation. So I'm in an attic space. It's an attic knee wall and the room above my garage. I've been doing some work in there and I have a wide variety of insulation issues. So I'm going to go over different ways to fix them. So let's get started. So I'm in a finished room above a garage. If you know, these are horrendous for heating and cooling because there's often issues with insulation. So this is a little bump out for the stairs going into my garage, down into my garage. I don't think this bump out is original to the house because it's completely uninsulated, but I'm not sure. But there's a furnace in the corner of my garage down here, and the flue pipe is running through here. So this bump out is to hide the flue pipe that goes out the roof, and there's no insulation in it. But here's my attic space. I have blown in cellulose here. I have fiberglass bat in the walls, and kind of you can see this little bump out with the furnace pipe. I'll show you more details of that. But yeah, let's jump in here and start tackling some of the issues. We'll start with the simpler ones first. All right, this is the first issue I want to fix. Is usually the easiest for you to fix as well. So over here, most of this fiberglass bat is getting pushed out of the studs. It's even falling out, buckling down here. So the way I'm going to fix this is they make these insulation wires. They're just little steel rods that go between your studs to hold the fiberglass bat in place, or other styles of bat insulation as well. So let's use these wires and try to fix all this loose and falling out insulation. And these are pretty easy to use. So you just take one end, you don't need to stick it hard, but stick it into the stud, just bend the wire, stick the other end in, and it acts as a little support, and just kind of get in there however you want to keep the fiberglass in place. Some areas I was able to push it in. I used two down here. Up here it's loose, so I'll put one here as well. So up in this corner here, the insulation doesn't even go up all the way. So it goes all the way up past this 6-inch rafter. So I have to cut a piece to fill that in. Also, the bottom of this wall is just missing. Now this could have been from rodents or whatever, but I'm gonna have to get a replacement piece here as well. So to replace what's missing, I have some 3.5-inch thick fiberglass bat insulation. So it's R15, highest R value for exterior basement walls. So for your standard 2x4 walls. So let's open this up, start cutting some pieces. All right, and to replace this missing piece here, I measured it's about 1 foot. So I have my new bat insulation laid out here. Just gonna measure about 1 foot and then cut it. This stuff's super easy to cut. They make a special tool. I'm just gonna cut the craft paper. So this is your paper barrier, the craft paper. It's gonna go towards the inside of the house. I'm just gonna take a razor to score the paper. And just using a bread knife, push it down a little bit. Just saw through it. So that cuts pretty easy. Alright, I'm going to come over here and fit this up. So this is like 15 inches wide for a standard 16 on center framing, but this has an extra stud here, so it's a little tight. You don't want to, compress this stuff too much, so I'm going to take a little bit, cut a little bit off the side real quick. All right, so I got that new piece in and put in one of the little insulation wires to hold that all in. I installed a couple more in a couple spots up here where it's coming out. And here there's a 2x4 scab that's pushing this out. So I added a couple here to hold this in better. But I just noticed this, which I didn't know originally. So those two studs next to each other, there's like a 3/4 inch gap. And there's absolutely no insulation between them. So I'm going to take some strips and just fill it in. Not trying to pack it in too tight, just get it in as far as I can. Have it stick out just a tad, but this is a weak spot, right? So if you were to measure temperatures on your wall inside the room when it's cold, you would see a colder spot here between these two studs because there's no insulation. But I'll peel off more little strips. Once you cut this stuff, it's easy to like, I'll peel this craft paper off too. Just take little strips and fill your piece up. So I'll fill this whole pocket going up. All right, so I got the gap between the studs filled all the way up. This little bay was low on the cellulose, so I pulled the craft paper off and put a little fiberglass bat in there too. There's another one over there I want to fix. But let's go over there and look at that bump out for the flue pipe. So here's the door where you come in. There's the flue pipe. You can actually hear it right now because the furnace is running. I don't think this house originally had a gas furnace because on this exterior wall here there is bat insulation with the vapor barrier facing inward. So I'd have to imagine this was a wall originally, and this 2x4 framing that's in here looks different from what's here from when the house was originally built. So I think whenever the AC people installed the furnace and ran this flue pipe, and they probably quickly framed in this 2x4 wall and put drywall up, they never insulated it. So I'm gonna have to insulate it. Now down at the very bottom I can see insulation in the floor / roof of the garage where the flue pipe's coming through, but these walls completely just staring at the back of the drywall all the way up, and then there's insulation at the top going into the upper attic area. So I'm gonna take this same R15 and run strips in both walls from all the way down on that floor to the ceiling to fix this. And then over here at the eaves side where I have soffit vents, this is the big issue I want to fix. After doing some research, this is a common problem when you have, this is like cellulose blown in insulation, and when you blow it out into your eaves where the soffit vents are, the wind, when it's windy, blows the insulation. So I'm like missing a bunch of blown in insulation out by my soffit vents all the way down. Now this all this cabling here, it's funny to see act as kind of a catch to hold the cellulose in place, but everywhere else, all near the outside, it's missing a lot of insulation. So they sell, I did some research, they sell wind stops made out of like plastic or like cardboard, cellulose type stuff. I'm just going to make some wind stops myself and then take more bat insulation and probably like fold it over, because this is only 3.5 thick. This is 6-inch joists here, to shove down at the ends to allow air to still come in the soffits up but not blow directly in and blow this cellulose out. So what I initially grabbed was just, I'm trying to use what I have. So I have a lot of 1/4-inch plywood offcuts in the shed, and I went and found some like 1-inch or 7/8 roofing nails. So I'm going to pin some of these boards up down at the end and then shove some of the bat insulation under to serve as a brake to force the wind to come up instead of into the cellulose, blowing it everywhere. I got a couple roofing nails holding that piece of plywood in. Gonna go ahead and see how this is gonna work. Just have a piece of bad insulation here. Try to move a little bit of this cellulose out of the way real quick. And I'm just gonna fold it over to double it up. Just using what I got. You can get thicker bats made for this, but if I haven't mentioned it yet, this insulation was left in the house when we moved in. It was out in the shed, so I'm just using what I got. Oh yeah, that's nice and tight. I think that'll work pretty good. Alright, try to get you close in so you can see what I'm doing here. So the plywood just went on the angle of the roof. Now you might, this little piece of plywood I cut 6 inches tall. If your roof is steeper, higher pitch, I think that's how that works, you might want a taller windstop, but I think that is plenty. It gets the air deflecting up over, and there's just a couple little roofing nails. This isn't structural, you know, just something to block the wind from blowing in all the cellulose. And I still have a good gap for my soffit vents to blow up here into this attic space. So I'll have to do this for the rest of the bays, going all the way down. This is the most common thing from doing research. When I started Googling this stuff, like, I found all kinds of issues with blown in cellulose and soffit vents. So, and then essentially what you can do now that you have your little wind stop, you can use blown insulation to fill this back in, or, you know, thicker roof bats. But I'll use what I have to make these little wind stops. Only 12 more to go. So yeah, here are the 2 bays I've done, and then I'm just gonna work my way down. Probably took me 10 minutes, but kind of work at your own pace and fix this stuff. I know it sucks being up in an attic, but it's not hard to do yourself. So you can really see the difference between this bay that I've done and this one I got to do still. All the insulation that's been blown out by the wind. So filling in this little area is not too hard. Just cutting the strips. There is another stud behind here I didn't see, so I had to cut these strips shorter. But I got the bottom piece in, and I was fitting in this top piece. Get this the rest of the way in. And then I left a little like foot gap in the middle because I think it would be cool to leave that gap, and then tomorrow morning take a temperature of the upper and lower parts of the wall, and then take a temperature there from inside the room and see what the difference is. So I'll do that before I close out the video. So it's day 2 of the project. I worked for this on this insulation stuff for a couple hours yesterday, but this corner back here where the flue pipe is where I'm insulating, and I left that 1 foot gap. So today I want to take some readings. So this is the wall here. See if you can see my temperature gun. Yeah, so I'm reading in like the 60s, and I've had this attic door open. So I have insulation up in these areas, 64, and then in the middle somewhere in here is where that gap is. Oh, I think I found it. Yeah, in this area. So I'm reading 48 in here, where I have this little 1 foot gap in the fiberglass bad insulation. So you can always see the difference of me adding insulation above it and below it. I'm up to like 60, a little higher, 63. 10 foot ceilings, heat rises, so it makes sense it's a little warmer up here. So yeah, 48, 10, yeah, 15 degrees or so difference adding that insulation. But I still have to finish some of my wind stops and bays, but I'll finish that up after this video. I hope it was helpful. I just, you know, trying to fix issues with insulation in this attic knee wall. So ceiling stuff underneath me, wall stuff, all kinds of different issues. So I went over just different ways to fix it. You know, DIY, you can do this stuff yourself. But thanks for watching this one. All right, bye.